The Golden State Warriors trading Kevon Looney wasn't just about a second-round pick. It was a financial masterstroke that created a secret $30 million weapon. On the surface, the September 26, 2025 transaction sending Looney to the Detroit Pistons looks like a minor salary dump, a footnote in the preseason news cycle. The common belief is that the Warriors, a team perennially deep in the luxury tax, were just trimming a few million off the edges to save their billionaire owner some cash. A sad but necessary business move involving a three-time champion. But the reality is, this move is a brilliant piece of CBA jiu-jitsu, a direct response to the league's brutal new financial penalties. By digging into the Warriors' cap sheet, the repeater tax clauses, and the fine print of the collective bargaining agreement, a different story emerges. This wasn't just about saving money, it was about creating a ghost asset, a flexible weapon that's far more valuable than the player they traded away. We've mapped the timeline and run the numbers. So what exactly is this $30 million weapon the Warriors just forged? How did trading a player making just under $8 million create an asset with that kind of impact? And most importantly, why does this move reveal Golden State's true championship blueprint under the NBA's suffocating new rules? We're about to break down the clauses, the cash, and the cold-blooded calculation behind a trade everyone is sleeping on. To understand why this trade happened now, you have to understand the invisible prison the NBA just built for teams like the Warriors. It's called the second apron, a new hyper-punitive spending threshold introduced in the 2023 CBA. For years, super tax teams like Golden State could just write checks to solve problems. That era is over. According to the league's new rules, once a team's payroll crosses that second apron, currently projected around $190 million, they are functionally crippled. They can't abrogate salaries and trades, they can't take back more money than they send out, they lose access to their taxpayer mid-level exception, a key tool for signing quality veterans. Their future first-round picks 7 years out become frozen and untradeable. It's a series of tripwires designed to dismantle dynasties. The Warriors lived above this line last season, and they felt the squeeze. This Kevon Looney trade is their first major counterpunch. By shedding his $7.8 million salary, they aren't just inching away from the tax line, they are clawing their way out of the CBA's maximum security prison. This move was about buying back the tools to build a roster. This wasn't just about saving money in the present, it was about regaining the power to make meaningful moves in the future, a power the new CBA was explicitly designed to take away from them. But the immediate cash savings are what makes this move an absolute masterclass in financial leverage. So how does trading a player making just under $8 million save the Warriors franchise nearly $30 million in real cash? The answer lies in a single, terrifying word for NBA owners: repeater. The Warriors aren't just a luxury tax team, they're a repeater tax team, meaning they've been taxpayers in at least 3 of the previous 4 seasons. This triggers the most punitive tax rates in professional sports. For a team this deep into the tax, the penalties aren't dollar for dollar, they are exponential. We're not talking about a $1.5 tax for every dollar over. We're talking about multipliers of $6, $7, even $8 for the highest payroll brackets. Let's do the math. Removing Kevon Looney's $7.8 million salary for the 2025-26 season doesn't just save them $7.8 million. It saves them that salary plus the catastrophic tax penalty attached to it. While the exact multiplier depends on their final payroll, conservative estimates based on their spending bracket put the combined savings of salary and avoided repeater tax at just under $30 million. That $30 million isn't a line on a spreadsheet. It's the cost of another high-level rotation player or the entire budget for their player development and analytics department for multiple years. It's real money that owner Joe Lacob and the ownership group just put back into the war chest, all from one seemingly minor trade. But saving money is only half the story. The other half is the powerful, invisible weapon they created in the process. So what is this ghost asset the Warriors received that's infinitely more valuable than a heavily protected second-round pick? It's called a traded player exception, or TPE. This is a creation of the NBA's collective bargaining agreement, specifically outlined in Article 7, Section 6. When a team trades a player for less salary than they send out, they create a TPE equal to the outgoing player's salary. In this case, by trading Looney into Detroit's cap space without taking any salary back, the Warriors generated a new TPE worth exactly $7.8 million. This TPE is essentially a trade credit. It sits on their books, inert, for exactly 1 calendar year, expiring on September 26, 2026. During that year, the Warriors can use this exception to acquire a player or multiple players whose combined salaries are up to that $7.8 million plus $100,000. The key is they can do it without sending out any matching salary. The TPE is a hunting license. It lets General Manager Dunleavy Jr. stalk the trade market for an entire year, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. It lets him target a disgruntled player on another team or help a franchise desperate to duck the tax by absorbing a useful player into the exception. It gives them the ability to surgically add a piece at the trade deadline without having to disrupt their core rotation by sending out a key player in return. It's pure, unadulterated flexibility. Of course, this raises the painful question, why Kevon Looney? Why a player who was the starting center on a championship team, a locker room leader, and a beloved figure in the Bay Area for 9 seasons? The answer is a cold, hard look at the intersection of contract, age, and role. Kevon's contract was the perfect size for this maneuver. At 7.8, it was large enough to generate a meaningful TPE and significant tax savings, but not so large that it would be impossible for another team to absorb. Furthermore, his 2026-27 season was non-guaranteed, making him even more attractive to a rebuilding team like the Pistons, who could keep him for a year and then clear his salary off the books with zero dead money. From a basketball perspective, the emergence of Trayce Jackson-Davis last season made Looney's role redundant. Jackson-Davis offered more vertical spacing and athleticism, making him a better fit with the current roster. As painful as it was to part with the franchise icon, Looney was, by every objective measure, the most logical and efficient contract to move to achieve these specific financial and strategic goals. It was a decision made by the front office's head, not its heart. And from the other side of the transaction, why would the Detroit Pistons do this? For them, the calculus is simple and straightforward. They are a young, rebuilding team with acres of cap space and a desperate need for future assets. Their payroll is so far below the salary cap floor that absorbing Looney's $7.8 million contract cost them nothing in terms of opportunity cost. They are not competing for high-priced free agents. In exchange for using a fraction of their unused cap space, they acquire a future second-round draft pick. For a team in their position, every draft pick is a lottery ticket, another chance to find a diamond in the rough. They also get a veteran professional in Kevon Looney who can mentor their young bigs like Jalen Duren and provide a steadying presence in the locker room for 1 season, before they likely waive him to clear the salary. This is the definition of a symbiotic NBA trade. The contending high-spending Warriors get immediate tax relief and future flexibility, while the rebuilding low-spending Pistons get a draft asset and a veteran presence for the low cost of cash they were required to spend anyway. So, what happens next? How will the Warriors actually use this new weapon? That $7.8 million traded player exception becomes a critical tool as the season unfolds. Look for the Warriors to be patient. They'll evaluate their roster through the first few months of the season, identify their biggest need, and then scan the league for targets who fit into that salary slot. The most likely targets will be 3-and-D wings or a backup center from teams that are underperforming and looking to sell off pieces before the February trade deadline. A player like Dorian Finney-Smith or Royce O'Neal, if their teams falter, could become available. Or a reliable backup big man on an expiring contract from a team looking to give more minutes to younger players.
The TPE gives them a massive advantage over other contenders who would have to cobble together matching salaries to make a similar deal. The Warriors can simply absorb the player, sending back only a protected pick or a young player not in their rotation. This Looney trade wasn't the final move. It was the setup for the real move to come. In the end, the Kevon Looney trade was a painful but necessary pivot for the Warriors franchise navigating a new financial reality. They traded a piece of their history to secure their future. They weaponized the CBA, turning a $7.8 million salary into nearly $30 million in savings and a dynamic trade exception that gives them a critical edge in the arms race for the next championship. It's a masterclass in turning a limitation into a lethal advantage. And if you want to understand the other hidden rules, backroom politics, and financial power plays that truly run the NBA, you absolutely need to watch our next video from the